You ever just stop and wonder, is the future already set in stone? I mean, is everything that's ever going to happen just one long domino effect that started with the Big Bang? Well, turns out there's this really cool and kind of spooky thought experiment from the history of science that dives right into that idea. Let's get into it.
Yeah, it's a massive question, right? And for a really long time, physics seemed to have a surprisingly clear and honestly, a pretty unsettling answer. To get our heads around it, we need to jump back to the early 19th century.
All right, so let's meet the star of our show, a hypothetical, all-knowing being that could, in theory, see all of time, past, present, and future, all at once.
This is Laplace's demon. So the thought experiment goes something like this. Imagine an intelligence so powerful it knows the exact position and momentum of every single atom, every particle in the entire universe at one specific moment. Now, if this demon also knew all the laws of physics, it could use that one single snapshot to calculate everything that has ever happened and everything that ever will happen.
And there you have it, straight from the man himself, the French scientist Pierre-Simon Laplace. It's an incredibly bold claim, isn't it? He's basically saying the universe isn't some big mystery to be solved. It's more like a movie script that's already been written. Now you gotta understand, this wasn't just some wild fantasy he cooked up. Laplace's idea was built on the best science of his time. Back then, the common view is that the universe was like a giant, intricate clockwork machine. Sure, it's complex, but ultimately, it's predictable.
This is the heart of an idea called determinism. Think of it like a perfect game of billiards. If you know the exact angle, the exact speed, and the exact spin of the cue ball, you can theoretically predict exactly where every single ball on the table will end up. Well, classical physics saw the entire universe that way.
And this wasn't just a science thing either. Philosophers like Spinoza were right there with them. This quote just perfectly nails that worldview. There's no such thing as random chance, only a chain of cause and effect that goes all the way back to the beginning of time. So, what about things that seem random, like flipping a coin? Laplace had an answer for that. He argued that probability is really just a tool we use to deal with our own ignorance. We say it's a 50-50 chance because we can't possibly know the exact force of the thumb flick, the tiny currents in the air, the spin. But for his demon, the one that knows all that stuff, for the demon, there's no probability. There's only certainty. And this belief in a neat, orderly, predictable universe was just so powerful. It held on for centuries. I mean, even Albert Einstein, way into the 20th century, was a huge fan of this idea, famously declaring that the universe isn't just some big casino game. But a scientific revolution was brewing, and it was about to challenge everything.
Okay, so now we land in the 20th century. And this is where that beautiful, elegant idea of a clockwork universe runs into a massive problem. You could say a quantum wrench gets thrown right into the gears.
A whole new branch of science popped up, quantum mechanics. And by looking at the totally bizarre world of the very, very small, it uncovered a truth that suggested maybe Laplace, Spinoza, and even Einstein might have been wrong all along. This is the first devastating blow to Laplace's demon, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. What it says is that, down at the quantum level, there's a hard limit to what we can ever know. The more you nail down a particle's exact position, the less you can know about its momentum, and vice versa. You can literally never know both perfectly. So this creates a fundamental conflict, a real showdown. Classical physics always treated uncertainty as a human problem. We just need better tools, better measurements. But quantum mechanics comes along and says, nope. Uncertainty is baked into the fabric of the universe itself. And that is the absolute killer point. It makes the demon's very first job knowing the precise state of everything impossible right from the get-go.
As Heisenberg himself said, this isn't about having bad equipment. It's a fundamental rule of the game. Nature, at its deepest level, just has this built-in fuzziness, a fundamental randomness that no superintelligence, not even Laplace's demon, could ever get past.
But okay, let's just say we could somehow wave a magic wand and ignore quantum mechanics. There's another, equally huge problem waiting for our demon. And this one doesn't come from the weird world of tiny particles, but from the messy, complex world we actually live in. So let's go back to that clockwork universe idea. Even if it were true, a newer field called chaos theory shows us why trying to predict its future would still be pretty much impossible in practice.
This is the famous butterfly effect. What it shows is that in really complex systems, like the weather, for example, a tiny, almost immeasurable difference at the start can get amplified over time, leading to a completely different, totally unpredictable result down the road.
And this is the core of the problem for our demon. To perfectly predict the weather, it wouldn't just need to know the state of every molecule in the air. It would need to know about the flutter of every single butterfly's wings. Any tiny little error in that starting data would make its long-term predictions completely worthless.
So, with the 1-2 punch of quantum uncertainty and chaos theory, it really seems like our demon is defeated. Case closed, right? Well, not exactly. Because the idea itself, even if it's impossible, still has incredible power.
Here's the modern verdict. From one of the greatest minds in modern physics, Stephen Hawking basically confirms it. The fundamental laws of our universe, as we currently understand them, make a real-life Laplace's demon impossible. The future just isn't written down in a way that we or any demon could ever fully read.
So, where does all this leave us? We started with the demon, right? An idea born from this vision of a perfect, predictable, clockwork universe. But then, that vision got shattered by two huge discoveries: quantum mechanics, which told us nature has a built-in randomness, and chaos theory, which showed that even predictable systems can have wildly unpredictable results. And yet, the demon's legacy is still with us. It's become this amazing tool that forces us to think about the limits of what we can ever truly know. And that leaves us with one final mind-bending question. For centuries, the best metaphor we had for the universe was a machine, a giant clock. We're pretty sure now that's not right. It's something far more mysterious, more uncertain, and frankly, a lot more interesting. So, if the universe isn't a machine, then what is it?